around.
Yeah, that's wild.
That was 19 years ago.
Is that working?
Yeah.
Charlie was working on his master's degree when I was there, and then went on and taught middle school in the Jacksonville area for several years. And a few years after that, got into fundraising. And fundraisers, I'm going to let him tell you all about it, but has done a good bit of fundraising. Is in band rooms all over the state. Can give us sort of best practices here about you should keep this in mind. This is what you should be looking for. This works. Don't even try this. And so sort of the idea here is like normal. We're going to give them the floor, let them have whatever they want to, and at the end I want you to pepper them with, what, we did this, how would that work, and what do you think? I think the other thing that we don't think about very much is that Charlie is in lots of classrooms. So what that happens is Charlie gets to see what works and what doesn't, okay? He gets to see the teachers that are super fun and cool and just want to be everybody's buddy, and the money doesn't come in. The teachers that are overly strict, nobody wants to participate. I mean, I am putting words in his mouth. So, but he has a really broad view about what's going on out there right now because he gets to see it all the time. So would you please join me in welcoming Charlie Rankin?
Dr. McCutcheon, thank you for letting me be a part of your class. And guys, thank you so much. My name's Charlie. When I present to students, I do have a persona, a stage name that I use. So can you practice your air quotes real quick? Everybody air quotes. Now when you air quotes, you're going to say something that you don't literally mean, right? Sometimes people overuse the air quotes. You might have that person in your life. But would you say, good morning, Uncle Charlie? Go ahead.
Good
morning, Uncle Charlie.
And that is how I introduce myself to my students in my presentation. And I talk about Uncle Charlie because I'm the right age to be your uncle, including you. My nieces, one of my nieces is at Florida State University. My oldest niece is at Florida State right now, starting her master's degree. Her little sister is at Georgia Southern right now. And then my other nephew just joined the Army, and his little brother is at Georgia State in Atlanta. So I am qualified and old enough to be some of your uncles. I'm not anybody's uncle in the room, like Mary Povich is not going to come in and like with a relationship surprise and surprise you love your uncle. That's not going to happen this morning. The reason I talk to students about being their uncle, and I introduce Aunt Coco, who's my wife, as their aunt, and when a child does a fundraiser, or if you were traveling for drum corps, or maybe guard, or maybe if you're going to go on a mission trip with your church organization, you might need to raise funds, and you would probably reach out to people that like you, or people that are supposed to like you, right? Like if you were going to go to Guatemala for missions this summer, you might put together a letter and send it out to people that worship your church. Would that make sense? Or people that knew you as a baby, right? They liked you, or they used to like you. So I talked to them about they're going to be asking adults that they like and that they want to like. So that's a quick introduction of Uncle Charlie. I wanted to start with the blank piece of paper and give you a chance right now, if you could jot down any thoughts or questions you already have about fundraising before the presentation, and to make sure that, so could you take a moment and could you write down any, like, I wonder, or how much do, or anything that's already floating around that you might be wondering about fundraising. Also, you can include apparel. I'll touch on apparel today too. So maybe at least write down one question. And if you can't come up with one, it could be, how much does fundraising cost? How much will it cost me? But come up with a question real quick that we can make sure we tackle. And I'll give you a moment more.
Can I ask a question before you start? Because like you've heard, we've been doing a booster project, and part of the project was these funds go through the school, these funds go through the boosters. Do you primarily work through schools or through booster programs?
Depends. I work with people that need to raise money, so I do both. It is easier for me to sign up a fundraiser with teachers where their money is internal, because typically when a teacher's money is in the school and the bookkeeper guards the money, that band director, chorister, that teacher can decide to do a fundraiser on the spot, as long as they get the approval of the principal. If the money is external and it's in Bank of America or SunTrust or wherever,
Boosters have
a booster account, oftentimes my client, my teacher, cannot decide to do a fundraiser with me. It has to go to a vote to the band booster board, and now a panel of parents are deciding if this teacher can work with me or not. And I'll talk about that today. I'll talk about who decides, and which decisions are boosters supposed to make, and which decisions does the director hold in their hand that the boosters don't decide some things. And in fundraising, what happens is the band director often puts the fundraising guy in the category of like the paper plate category. Like, I don't care which paper plates you get, just get paper plates, is what they'll tell the boosters. And a lot of times band directors put the fundraising guy in that stack. And I recommend that the band director or the orchestra or the music educator put the fundraising guy in the same stack as your drill writer, the same stack as your guy who's going to do your arrangements, or the same guy that's going to train your color guard. You're not going to just ask your boosters to Google color guard instructors.
So planning a trip or something along those lines.
That's right. So the director does make decisions about like critical result pieces, like your revenue is a critical result. Was the internet going to be able to work?
Well, I got, the computer's not working,
Okay.
but my laptop is.
Okay.
So,
And will it be able to go up on the screen too?
yeah, I got you.
Excellent. On a piece of paper, I want you to hold it up, and can you fold it hamburger style? You know what hamburger style means? You're going to learn this if you become a teacher. Hamburger style is like the wide way. So you fold it the wide way one time and give it a good crease. Anybody ever heard of hamburger style before? Raise your hand if you have. Yeah, nice. Give it a good creases a couple times so you get a nice line, and then unfold it and make sure you have a good line going across the paper. All right. Now, unfold it for a second. Hey, let's go hot dog style. And what's that going to create? It's going to create like a line, right? And give that a couple creases. And then can you go hot dog style one more time? And this does apply to my presentation. Dr. Coach, I'm going to talk for a second about why I left teaching.
Sure.
And why at 34 I resigned from my band position. So now if you unfold everything, do you have a faint line in the middle and then some lines going up and down? Say yes if you do.
Yes.
Awesome. Now, what we've done, we've just created like a little timeline for yourself. On average, you're going to live somewhere around 85 years. But just for math's sake, let's just call it 80, okay? So with your pen or pencil, underneath, like at the intersection of the first cross that you made, could you put the number 20? So here on this horizontal line, at that first intersection, you're going to be 20 years old. You're going to be 20 years old at that first intersection. At the middle intersection, you're going to be 40 years old. At the third intersection, you're going to be 60 years old.
I'm not appreciating how close I am to the end of this paper.
Now, can you kind of just lightly draw a line through your timeline now? And you know, as you get to 60, can you just have an arrow at the end? Because we don't know how far that's going to go, right? 60 with an arrow pointing to the right, you know, we'll be optimistic there. Can you kind of put a circle or a star about where you are right now? Like roughly where you are, did that make sense so far? Awesome. And can you roughly put a line or a star where you think you'd like to retire? If you had to guess.
What if we don't want to retire?
Oh, you may not have to retire. You can work until Dr. Madsen, toes up, right? Do you have a date? Did you do the date model? Do you have a date?
So I have a 9-year-old, so I've got to get him through college. So I think that I've got about 15 more years, 12, 15 more years.
Awesome. And I have a few more than you, but I think I'm younger than you by the tiniest fraction. But my daughter is just turned 11, so same kind of situation. The reason I think about this is something that dawned on me recently, not when I resigned. This didn't come up when I resigned, but all the goals we're going to talk about goal setting a lot this morning, and all of my goal setting talk is going to be related to time. And what I figured out is, yeah, we spend money and we earn money, we spend money, we raise money, we spend money, but we also spend our time. And so I wanted to talk about how all this relates to fundraising and your goal setting and what I call me economics. So The middle two sections, 20 to 60, could that roughly be your career years, your working years, roughly? I mean, give or take, would you agree? So, my career ended before I got to the 40 section, my music ed career, like my going to teach children music career, right? And I believe what I did was I tried to shrink 30 years of goals into like 15 years. I didn't give myself enough what? Time to do the things I saw the pros doing. I thought I should be doing them tomorrow. Like I just went to Carnegie Hall this weekend to see Bartram play. I flew up to hear Bartram play, Bartram Trail. And Jason Duckett's at year 32 of teaching band, right? But I would have been there as a young director. I would have been like, well, I want to do that in year 3. And what I did there, I didn't give myself, say it again, enough what? Time. And so I had all these goals that spread out over 30 years. The tension would have been lower. Does that make sense? But when I tried to get those 30 years worth of goals done tomorrow, what did I do to my tension? Would you say, would you ever have said it redline? Would you know what that means? Like it redline? So every day I showed up, my thermostat was at an 11 because I felt like it all had to be done by tomorrow. And the children were like, I forgot my pencil. What's the big deal? Because for me, what had become, like forgetting a pencil became a level 11 infraction because of my like intensity level, where really forgetting a pencil should be like a level 1 infraction. Would you agree? And so I was losing children along the way because I was so intense about how quickly I wanted to get to my goals. And then, so that was part of, like, I think what I did, that wasn't Music Ed's fault. That was my fault.
You see, the other part of this is you see, and this is in marching more than anything else, you'll see some young directors have a lot of success really quickly. And I kid you not, 4 years later, they're selling insurance. I mean, they really are. And they have this super, and it's really intense, and then once you're there, it's one thing to build a program, it's a whole different thing to maintain a program over a number of years. So.
The joke he just made was I sold insurance for 3 years, but
I'm gonna tell him that.
to talk about fundraising, and I'm raising 2 13-year-olds and an 11-year-old. Right now, and you would be like their big cousins, right? You'd be their big cousins. Right now, you can make more decisions about your life than my children can. I'm not letting my 13-year-old, 11-year-old make the same decisions you're making about your life, right? Over the next 3 to 5 years, you're gonna start making even more decisions about your life that mom and dad or those mentors will step back on. And the decision that impacts, one decision is how many things you say yes to on your calendar. And so you only have how many hours in the day? 24. And so protecting some of the time so that you can be you, that you still have that you hat, right? Protecting the time so you can still be a partner. Maybe that's to a spouse or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or maybe it's to a pet. Maybe you aren't gonna find a partner, human partner in life for whatever reason, but maybe you have someone you care about. And I'm not being stupid there because everybody ends up in a different spot relationally. But you need to have time for that thing, right? You can't let your dog not go walk, right? If you're a pet person. And then you do need to have time to serve and do good for the world. Now that might be through your profession, but it's okay, also okay to do good for the world outside of your job hat, you know? So all of that being said, like, I did some math, and if life was 40 feet, if life was a 40-foot piece of road, and if I had like 40 feet of road when we displayed that, an hour would be the width of a piece of hair. And a day would be like not even as wide as a penny. And a week would be like, you know, a half an inch, like a bracelet. And so just know that give yourself grace that every day you did the best you could that day for the players that are in your life. And I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm gonna do the best I can again tomorrow, right? And then that mindset is gonna kind of lead into everything. But that was kind of my presentation on give yourself time. Don't shrink your time to reach your goals to such a level that your tension red lines, spread out the time to bring your tension back down. Thumbs up if that makes sense. Awesome. We are getting